All right, we're gonna go over what RAG preprocess is, okay? And this is usually a one-time setup unless you are continuing to add documents, okay? Think about it in a fashion, I'm just gonna say like finance and accounting department, okay? We have policies and procedures that we are adjusting, continually adding, and so forth, right? So every time we add a document, adjust a document, the vector database gets affected. But usually this, for the most part, a one-time process. So with that in mind, let's just grab one document, right? So the document contains about, I don't know, 500 to 700 words, and that translates to 4,000 characters. This process looks at characters, does not look at word count. Okay, that's why I put characters here. So it goes through the chunking process. So think of the chunking just saying, hey, I want to divide my 4,000 characters into this number of chunks, right? So this is a chunk, this is a chunk, this is a chunk, this is a chunk. There's 4 chunks. So we do 4,000 divided by 4, that gives us 1,000, right? But usually you set this parameter, not the other way around. So you would say, hey, I want to chunk this for 1,000 characters, right? So 4,000 divided by 1,000, you get 4 chunks of 1,000. So once it's chunk, like chunk text, it goes through the embedding process. And through the embedding process, the characters get broken into either words, subwords, characters, and then all of that goes through a mathematical process through the neural networks. It goes through pooling, then an aggregation pooling to then get your final vector output. Okay, and that's just for one vector. Okay, there could be multiple vectors. The vector then gets added to a vector database. Now, something to keep in mind, okay? You have to be consistent with the embedding model. So we're going to be using Pinecode. We're going to be using Supabase. We could probably be using some other platform that comes around as we progress through the community, through the community, through the course. That platform, you're gonna pick an embedding model. Usually it's OpenAI with small or large, and it'll tell you how much embedding it's gonna take, right? How many dimensions. That needs to add exactly, well, not add, it needs to be the same, right? You're gonna have a drop down, you're gonna be able to do the dimensions. And we're gonna go through an example, like an actual AI agent with RAG. So don't worry, you're going to see it through there, but there's going to be an option to set the dimensions of the embedding. That and in the platform, they need to match. If they don't match, it's not going to work. You're going to get an error. Okay, and that's what this is basically saying. You're going to get the creating of the document in chunks, embedding, right? So it needs to match the query embedding. So if you embed the document in a 522 dimension model, again, each vector has X number of dimensions. It could be 512 dimensions, it could be 768 dimensions, it could be 1,000 plus dimensions, and so forth. Okay, if the document was done through an embedding model that had 512 dimensions, but you're searching with a dimension of 768, well, they don't match, so you're gonna get an error. So again, this is kind of like a one-time process. Yes, as you update documents, this will update as well. And that will be automated, right? We're gonna go through. So again, one more time, document character counts gets chunked. The chunk text get through the embedding process. The embedding process goes through a tokenization process, then goes through a mathematical process that gets converted into a vector. Then the vectors get pushed to a vector database. All right, now let's actually look at how the RAG process works. See you in the next video.